Brian Baldinger to Rob Stats Guerrera, and you can catch him on the Gold Standard Network this Sunday morning right here on 95.7 The Game and every Sunday at 8 a.m. for the rest of the season. Rob, good morning to you. Merry Christmas. Happy early New Year to you. Wasn't a very Merry Christmas to a lot of Niner fans, though. A lot of lump of coal in Bay Area. First, you got the Warriors taking the loss. Then you got the Niners at night getting physically beaten by the Baltimore Ravens. That's what I want to talk about first. We'll get to Brock in a second. But I don't think I've seen the Niners get physically manhandled in all phases of the game like they did this past Monday. That was the big eye-opening part for me. A team with that much physicality coming in and kicking the Niners' teeth in.
Yeah, it was a beatdown. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Even on the good plays, if you go back and look at the film, there are a lot of plays where linemen are getting shoved back into Brock Purdy, and he's able to slide around and buy time and make plays. But even on the big chunk plays that the Niners had, they were physically dominated in a way that they haven't been in a long time.
And you just brought him up, Brock Purdy. You know, the offensive line there wasn't the best. A lot of injuries to that line, and that's something to watch going forward, heading into the playoffs. That is something you do not want, is an injured and decimated offensive line heading into the most important stretch of the season. Brock Purdy's performance. Your thoughts? There's been a lot of been made about it. It's probably his worst start in the NFL thus far. It's against a very good team, the best team in the AFC. Are we making too much of all those interceptions, the 4 picks? Are we calling him fluky? Are we not calling him fluky? I just thought he had a bad game at the end of the day, right?
Horrible game. You know, remember a long time ago when we thought maybe Trey Lance was going to be a thing. What do we always talk about, right? All the national insiders were saying the Niners didn't want to have to wait through growing pains with Trey Lance. Well, guess what? Brock Purdy just turned 24 last week. We're going through growing pains with him, too, and I think that's exactly what we saw on Monday night. And if you listen to Brock this week, his press conference yesterday, I thought was incredibly revealing. He talked about basically how he got caught up in the emotions on the first drive and tried to jam it in there because he was all pumped up because they had hit some big plays. And really, he knew he shouldn't have thrown it, but he got caught up in the emotions of the game. And then he also talked about afterwards trying to make a big play to make up for it, to get back into the game, to come back when he didn't really stay within the offense. To me, those are young quarterback mistakes. And as good as Brock has been, I think we forget sometimes he still needs to go through some of those things. And unfortunately, he did on Monday.
So it seems like, again, before last week, Brock Purdy, he was really on top of the MVP rankings there. Everyone had him as the betting favorite. He's been knocked down to third, fourth now in some odds rankings there. Is it really just one bad game? Is that really enough to just kind of tank his MVP case?
Yes, because nobody wanted him there in the first place. They didn't want to give Brock Purdy the MVP, but they couldn't deny it because he was, first or second in the league in touchdowns, first or second in the league in passing yards, and the Niners had a really good record. And so they were like, well, I guess we have to put him here, even though nobody really wanted him there. Now that he's had that 4-interception game, they have the perfect excuse to say, oh, he can't possibly be the most valuable player because no MVP has ever had a bad game, right? So they've kicked him down the list, and you will not hear Brock Purdy for MVP regardless of what he does the rest of the season.
So what are you looking for Brock in this bounce back upcoming? Because it feels like this is a prime, example of a team that, got humbled a little bit on Christmas in front of a huge national audience. We talked about the ratings earlier, the NFL just dominating the audience in comparison to the NBA as far as the ratings go. So you're going to take on the Washington Commanders. Sam Howell's getting benched for Jacoby Brissett. Looks like they're just playing for a while. I don't even know what they're playing for at this point. I mean, I'd rather see Sam Howell if I'm a Washington fan, see what you got left there. You know what Jacoby Brissett is. I mean, Ron Rivera, he's probably going to be gone. Eric Bieniemy, I don't know what's going on there. So what are you looking for Brock this week and bouncing back? For me, Rob, just don't turn the ball over, right? That's basically it.
The Commanders' defense stinks, okay? They've given up the most passing yards in the league. They've given up 30 touchdowns. They're on pace to give up the 4th most points ever in a season in NFL history. This is the perfect get-right game for Brock Purdy. All he has to do is not turn the ball over, and there are going to be plays left, right, and center for Brock Purdy. So I think that's the first thing. If you do nothing else, at least protect the ball, and the Niners are going to win. But if you want to see more than that, there should be big plays because the Commanders have given up, I think it's 50 explosive plays this season. Like, their defense is hot garbage. this is exactly who you want to see this week. What I want to see from Brock is, does he still have that aggressive mindset, or is he too worried about not turning it over, and is he passing up open plays and big plays? Because we know they'll be there. There's going to be coverage busts. There'll be open guys. Is he going to keep that aggressive mindset? I think he will, but that's definitely one thing I'll be watching.
So move from one, well, I guess he's no longer MVP candidate now, as we established, but moving from one MVP guy to the other, Christian McCaffrey, does he have a chance with a big game this weekend, depending on what Lamar does? Could McCaffrey possibly vault himself over Lamar Jackson in the MVP race with a good showing on Sunday?
I think he can, believe it or not, because I think there is a sentiment out there that we give too many MVPs to quarterbacks and we should give it to other players. And narrative is part of the MVP factor. It's part of the MVP conversation. It's a big-time factor, and no quarterback has really risen up. Christian McCaffrey and Lamar Jackson have basically the same amount of touchdowns this year, which is a compliment to Christian McCaffrey and,
That's
kind
insane.
of a knock on Lamar Jackson. It's ridiculous. So I think Christian actually, with a couple of big weeks, the last 2 weeks of the year, could get in that MVP conversation, especially if the Niners win on Sunday and beat the Rams in Week 18 and capture that number one seed in the NFC. And we're looking at Christian McCaffrey with maybe 25 touchdowns on the season. I think he has a great shot to win it.
Yeah, speaking of those Rams, are they currently the team in the NFC you just don't want to see the Niners face off against in the playoffs?
I think so. You're talking about a division opponent. You're talking about a team that, yes, I know the Niners have had success against them in the regular season, but we all remember 2021 in the NFC Championship game. It's not like the Rams can't beat the 49ers. And Matthew Stafford is playing at a Hall of Fame level right now. He is dicing people up. They have a legit offense with Stafford and Kyron Williams and Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp there. Sean McVay didn't forget how to coach. I know we like to think he did because we didn't expect the Rams to be good. He's still really, really good. I do not want to face the Rams. I'm upset that this last Week 18 game is probably going to mean something for both sides because I was kind of hoping it wouldn't. But that's the situation we're in now.
We're talking to Rob Stats Guerrera. Catch him on the Gold Standard Network this Sunday morning at 8 a.m. right here on 95.7 The Game, and every Sunday at 8 a.m. for the rest of the season. And Rob, from the offense to the defense here, and the defensive tackle depth right now, Armstead injury, very concerning. Hargrave stepping in, he's been playing pretty well this year, but the noticeable absence of Eric Armstead on that defensive line, it felt like I was waiting for Chase Young. I was waiting, for Nick Bosa to have a huge imprint on this game. And the biggest play, I think, defensively was from the referee, tripping Lamar in the end zone there. Still one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. But what's your concern level right now with the D tackle depth for the 49ers?
It's concerning. Cluster injuries are very concerning no matter what part of the team you're talking about. Even areas where you think we're deep, so all of a sudden you get 3 or 4 injuries there, you're in trouble. Sebastian Joseph Day, please come and save us because we need that help. You have seen the impact on the pass rush without Eric Armstead there. Even though he doesn't fill up the stat book, I think he opens things and makes things easier for other people, and him not being there has had an effect. And this should be a game where Bosa and Chase Young eat. The Commanders have given up 60 sacks this season. If you can't eat against this team, you can't eat against anybody. And I think Chase Young in particular is going to be fired up to face his old team.
Rob, want a quick little special teams question here. Ronnie Bell, it seems like unless the ball's being thrown to him by Sam Darnold, just can't seem to hold on to it. At what point do you just got to pull the plug on that one?
Now. Before now. They should have pulled it last week. He's fumbled 3 times in 3 games filling in for Ray McLeod. I can't have that. Turnovers are the only thing that can derail this team. I would rather Kyle Shanahan put nobody back to return the punt than Ronnie Bell. At least you're not going to fumble it if nobody is back there. Now they're talking about Kyle Juszczyk or Brandon Ayuk or even Christian McCaffrey. I don't think we want to see 23 back there. He doesn't need any additional work, please. But they've got to get that fixed. Even if you just fair catch it, whatever it is, you cannot have a guy back there that can't hold on to the football because that's the only thing that stops the Niners.
Absolutely. And I know they got Deebo Samuel. I know people like seeing Deebo back there. I was like, I don't need Deebo taking more wear and tear. He's already the most physical player in the league. You saw that hit that he absorbed against Marlon Humphrey. It was amazing. He just didn't even skip his stride. It was unreal. But I don't need Deebo taking any more punishment. Now he's got like a neck sprain. I don't need any more of that. One more before we get you out of here, Robin. We appreciate your time. Talking about Brock Purdy. The big conversation heading into the game was system quarterback. And there was this big thing with Cam Newton, and I'm sure you saw Debo going back and forth on the Up and Adams podcast, this whole thing. How do you define a system quarterback? And does Brock Purdy fit that mold? Because for me, I think of a guy like an Alex Smith in Kansas City, being with Andy Reid and stuff like that, going stride for stride what he wanted, but he doesn't take your team over the top. I've seen enough from Brock to know that he does more than what just a game manager does. But here's Cam Newton, former MVP. I know he had the physical skill set, so maybe he's trying to gas himself up in comparison to Brock Purdy. What did you make of that, and how do you define a system quarterback?
I define a system quarterback as a guy that is only capable of making plays within the structure of the offense. He's only capable of getting the plays that are there laid out by the coach. He's not capable of extending plays. He's not capable of maybe fitting a ball in somewhere that isn't the first read, but is open if you make a really good throw. A system quarterback is just the guy that will take what's there, but nothing more. And what we've seen from Brock is he's not that guy. He's not just a system quarterback. He does extra. He extends plays. He scrambles for first down. He takes doubles over singles. Kyle Shanahan even talked about sometimes he makes plays that aren't really there, but he's able to put the ball in a good spot. Brock is more than a system quarterback. And I'll just point out, by the way, this quote-unquote system quarterback is going to set the 49ers single-season record for passing yards, and he might do it this week if he gets 229. So you can say system quarterback whatever you want, but he's going to throw for more yards than any 49ers quarterback has ever thrown for in a single season. Sign me up for that, please.
Rob, one more for get you out of here. I don't know, did you catch any of the Browns-Jets game last night?
I did see Joe Flacco giving me flashback vibes to 2012, yeah.
Yeah, so it's looking very likely right now. Obviously, the Ravens look like the class of the AFC. The Browns look like a team that you don't want to face in the playoffs in the AFC side. If it's one of those two teams, if those two teams face off in the AFC title game, and the Niners, they're looking at a trip to the Super Bowl as well, who are you rooting for in that AFC title game between the Browns and the Ravens? If the reward is facing the Niners in the Super Bowl,
I'm rooting for the Browns, and it's because Joe Flacco might be having a revival here, but he's not Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is just one of one, freak of freaks. Even when you do everything right, he could still break out and make a big play. Joe Flacco has been very good, yes. He's also has a bunch of turnovers. He's turned the ball over at least once, I think, in every single start that he has had. I'll take a guy that's going to give the 49ers a chance to take the ball away over a guy like Lamar, who not only can protect the football, but can also make plays in the worst of situations. So I don't love either one of those options, to be honest, but if I have to take one, I'll take Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm just kind of hoping the Dolphins maybe just sneak through into the Super Bowl and we just get a Shanahan-McDaniel Super Bowl instead.
I don't trust Tua at all. I do trust Rob Guerrera talking 49ers this Sunday morning, 8 a.m. right here on 95.7 The Game. Rob, appreciate the time, man, and a Happy New Year.
Thanks for having me anytime.
Thank you. That's Rob Stats Guerrera. Again, catch him on the Gold Standard Network this Sunday morning at 8 a.m. right here on 95.7 The Game, and every Sunday at 8 a.m. for the rest of the season. Lots of good stuff there.